Good day, everyone. I'm Roxanne Gutierrez. So, for our topic for today is all about sources of individual differences. So, before we start, does anyone here has an idea about the sources of individual differences? So, kapag sinabing sources of individual differences, sa Tagalog po nito, ito yung pinagmulan ng pagkakaiba-iba ng individual. So, lahat tayo may pagkakaiba-iba class. Meron ka na wala sa iba. So, dito, yung sources of individual differences na topic, aalamin natin yung pinagmulan ng pagkakaiba-iba ng individual at ano nga ba itong mga pagkakaiba-iba na to. So, are you guys ready? So, let's get started! For our objectives, for students to know and define the individual differences, to understand the theories of intelligence, to know the process theories of intelligence, to distinguish the relationships between IQ and academic learning achievement, to gain knowledge about the different learning styles, to be able to understand the students with special learning needs, to provide ways to help students with special needs, and last, to understand the diversity in learning and how we use it as the resource for learning. For our introduction, individual differences, according to Drewer James, it is a variation or a deviation from the average of the group with respect to the mental or physical characters occurring in the individual member of the group or individual differences. So in other words, ayon kay Drewer James, ang individual differences daw ay isang pagkakaiba-iba o paglihis mula sa average na pangkat, kung saan kahit na may pagkakaiba-iba ito ay may paggalang sa mental o pisikal na karakter na nangyayari sa bawat individual na membro. The variation or deviation among individual is regarded as a single characteristic or a number of characteristics. Those differences which in their totality distinguish one individual from another. As claimed by Skinner, today we think of individual differences as including any measurable aspects of the total personality. It is obvious from this meaning of individual differences that it grasps each part of human character which is some way quantifiable. So sinasabi ni Skinner na kahit na may pagkakaiba-iba, kasama pa din sila sa anumang nasusukat na aspeto ng kabuuang pantao.
Theories of intelligence. There are different theories about intelligence, none of which agree with each other. Every approach to thinking comes up with own different perspective and assumptions, often contradicting at least one earlier theory. So dito sa intelligence, parang iba-iba siya. Parang kapag halimbawa, pag iniisip ng isang tao na about sa imagination, then yung isang person naman, parang kinokontradict niya yung utak ng isang tao, yung naiisip ng isang tao. Next is faculty theory. The oldest theory regarding the nature of intelligence and flourished during 18th and 19th century. Mind is made up of different faculties like reasoning, memory, discrimination, imagination, etc. So dito sa faculty theory, parang naka-organize siya na ito for reasoning, for memory, discrimination, or imagination. Parang nakahanay lang sila sa isang tao, ganun.
One-factor or unifactor theory. It reduces all abilities to a single capacity of general intelligence or common sense. This factor theory would imply that they are all perfectly correlated and would make no allowance for the unevenness of people's abilities along different lines. Since it goes against the common observation that an individual does possess different levels of different abilities and does not shine equally in all directions. It has no ground to stand. Faculty theory had been under criticism by experimental psychologists who disproved the existence of independent faculties in the brain. Thorndike's multifactor theory. Multifactor theory considers an individual's intelligence to be a combination of numerous separate elements or factors, each one being a minute element of one's ability. As regards intercorrelation between different factors of intelligence, Thorndike assumed that this correlation owes mainly to commonalities of abilities. Thorndike believes that in almost every intellectual task, some of the abilities are common, and this causes the intercorrelation between different tasks. Thorndike believed that there was nothing like general ability. Each mental activity requires an aggregate of different set of ability. Thorndike proposed that there are specific stimuli and specific response, and intelligence is nothing more than a convenient name for almost infinite number of actual or potential specific connection between these stimuli and responses. He distinguished the following four attributes of intelligence. One is level. Level refers to the level of difficulty of a task that can be solved. Next is range. Range refers to a number of tasks at any given degree of difficulty. Next is area. Area means the total number of situations of each level to which the individual is able to respond. Last one is speed. Speed is the rapidity with which we can respond to the items. Thurstone's theory. Thurstone's primary mental abilities is a test created to measure the primary mental abilities of superior children. As a clinical test, it will measure these seven abilities: the word fluency, verbal comprehension, spatial visualization, number facility, associative memory, reasoning, and perceptual speed in advanced children. The Thurstone theory of primary mental abilities is a model of human intelligence dominant paradigm of a unitary conception of intelligence. Primary mental abilities, or group factor theory, state that intelligence activities are not an expression of innumerable highly specific factors, as Thorndike's claim, nor is it the expression primary of a general factor that pervades all mental activities. It is the essence of intelligence as Spearman held. Instead, the analysis of interpretation of Spearman and the others led them to the conclusion that certain mental operations have in common a primary factor that gives them psychological and functional unity and that differentiate them from other mental operations. This mental operation then constitute a group. A second group of mental operation has its own identifying primary factor and so on. In the other words, there are a number of groups of mental abilities, each of which has its own primary factor, giving the group a functional unity and cohesiveness. Each of these primary factors is said to be relatively independent of the others. Thurstone has given the following six primary factors. Number one is the number factor. The number factor is the ability to do numerical calculation rapidly and accurately. Next is the verbal factor. The verbal factor found in tests involving verbal comprehension. Number three is the space factor. The space factor involved in any task in which the subject manipulates the imaginary object in space. 4 is memory. Memory is involving ability to memorize quickly. 5 is the fluency factor. The word fluency factor involved whenever the subject is asked to think of isolated words at a rapid rate. Last is the reasoning factor. The reasoning factor found in tasks that require a subject to discover a rule or principle involved in a series or a group of letters. Another theory of Thurstone is intelligence. The theory of intelligence is also known for the development of the Thurstone scale. Thurstone's work in factor analysis led him to formulate a model of intelligence center around primary mental abilities, which were which were independent group factors of intelligence that different individuals possess in varying degrees.
Process theories. Triachic theory of intelligence based on A. Broder. Ang triachic theory ay batay sa isang mas malawak na kahulugan ng katalinuhan kaysa sa karaniwang ginagamit. Intelligence is defined in terms of the ability to achieve success, depends on the ability to capitalize on one's strengths and to correct or compensate for one's weaknesses. Sinasabi dito na ang katalinuhan ay tinukoy sa mga tuntunin na kakayahang makamit ang tagumpay sa buhay batay sa kanyang personal na pamantayan at sa loob ng konteksto ng socio-cultural ng isang tao. Ang kakayahang makamit ang tagumpay ay nakasalalay sa kakayahang magpakinabenta sa kanyang kalakasan at maitama o mabayaran ang kahinaan ng isang tao. Success is attained through a balance of analytical, creative, and practical abilities that is achieved in order to adapt to, shape, and select environments. Sinasabi rin dito na ang tagumpay ay nakamit sa pamamagitan ng isang balanse ng mga kakayahang analytical, malikhain, at praktikal. Isang balanse na nakamit upang may akma sa humubog at pumili ng mga kapaligiran. Information processing components underlying intelligence. A common set of universal mental processes underlies all aspects of intelligence. So, batay dito, ito ay isang karaniwang hanay ng mga universal na proseso ng kaisipan ay pinagbabatayan ng lahat ng mga aspeto ng katalinuhan. Problems that are considered intelligent in one culture may be different from those considered intelligent in another. The mental processes needed to reach this solution are the same. Sinasabi naman dito na bagaman ang mga partikular na solusyon sa mga problema na itinuturing na matalino ay isang kultura ay maaaring magkakaiba sa mga itinuturing na marunong sa isa pa. Ang mga proseso ng pag-iisip na kinakailangan upang maabot ang mga solusyon na ito ay pareho. 3 aspects of intelligence. Analytical intelligence. Components of intelligence are applied to analyze, evaluate, judge, or compare and contrast. This type of intelligence has the ability to process and apply logical reasoning. Simply put, it involves the ability of an individual to identify patterns and accurately predict the outcomes of complex events. Compared to the 3 other types of intelligence, analytical intelligence shows up some forms of closeness with the exact thing that's measured on the traditional. Creative intelligence, the ability to go beyond the existing to create novel and interesting ideas, required to formulate good problems and generate ideas in the first place. This type of intelligence is the ability to produce new products, ideas, or inventing a new novel solution to a problem. Crystallized intelligence, characterized by acquired knowledge and the ability to retrieve it. Cultural intelligence, ability in which people can understand and relate to those in another culture. Practical intelligence involves individuals applying their abilities to the kinds of problems that confront them in daily life, such as on the job or in the home. This type of intelligence is an experience-based accumulation of skills and explicit knowledge as well as the ability to apply that knowledge to solve everyday problems. Knowledge that helps you read situations correctly and get what you want. And critically, it is a kind of intelligence separate from the sort of analytical ability measured by IQ.
There are differences in intelligence level among different individuals. We can classify the individuals from supernormal above 120 IQ to idiots from 0 to 50 IQ. On the basis of their intelligence level, it has been found two achievement tests that individuals differ in their achievement abilities. Dito ay sinasabi na may iba't ibang katalinuhan sa bawat individual. Maaari natin yung malaman sa mga supernormal na may 120 IQ pataas, habang ang idiots ay may 0 hanggang 50 na IQ. Ang mga achievement tests ay naiiba kumpara sa achievement abilities. These differences are very much visible in reading, writing, and learning mathematics. These differences in achievement are even visible among the children who are the same level of intelligence. These differences are on account of differences in the various factors of intelligence and the differences in the various experience, interest, and educational background. Dito naman ay itong mga achievement na ito ay nakadepende rin sa pagbabasa o pagsusulat. Ang bawat individual ay may iba't ibang katalinuhan at ito ay nakadepende sa karanasan nila at sa pag-aaral. Academic achievement is the final grade from majoring subject or the average score from these subjects. On the other hand, we can define academic achievement more broadly as consist between requirements of school and performance, personality and development of the student. In other words, to be successful in school, a student does not need to fulfill only academic standards, but also be able to present his or her knowledge adequately, form relationship with teacher and classmates, to engage in activities that would compensate for his or her underperformance. This is the kind of intelligence termed practical intelligence from school, which refers to the individual's understanding of and ability to respond appropriately to demands of school environment. Dito naman ay sinasabi na ang academic achievement naman ay bumabase sa mga gawain na pinapagawa sa eskwelahan. Isa din ito sa mga dahilan upang ang bawat individual ay matuto sa pamamagitan ng pag-uugali, pagsusulat at pagbabasa. Dahil dito, mas tumatalino tayo at dahil mas marami tayong matututunan at ito ay makakatulong sa buhay natin.
Cognitive styles. Cognitive styles refer to the prepared way an individual processes information. Cognitive style is usually described as a personality dimension which influences attitudes, values, and social interaction. Dito sa cognitive style, dinidescribe niya yung the way individuals think, perceive, and remember informations. Having more of an ability is usually considered beneficial, while having a particular cognitive style simply denotes a tendency to have in a certain manner. Cognitive styles are not abilities, but it is a prepared ways of applying the abilities. Learning styles. The term learning styles speaks to the understanding that every student learns differently. Technically, an individual's learning styles refers to the preferential way in which the student observes, processes, comprehends, and retains informations. This notion of individualized learning styles has gained widespread recognition in education theory and classroom management strategy. These individual learning styles depends on our cognitive, emotional, and environmental factors as well as one prior experience. We all know that everyone is different. It is important for educators to understand the differences in their students' learning styles so that they can implement best practice strategies into their daily activities, curriculum, and assessments. Different learning styles. First one is visual or spatial learner. These visual learners are those who prepare learning by observing things. Sila yung mga learners na mas prepare yung mga images, pictures, diagrams, and mga words para mas maintindihan nila yung information ng mas maayos. These students can easily visualize information and have a good sense of directions. They are usually likes to draw and doodle. Oral or auditory learner. Sound and music are strong suit for this type of learners who typically have a good sense of rhythm. These learners are usually singers or musicians who are familiar with different instruments and the sounds they make. Oral learners are good listeners who normally learn best through verbal presentations like lectures and speeches. Verbal and or linguistic learner. These learners are prepared using words both in speech and writing. Sila yung mga taong mahal yung pagbabasa at pagsusulat. Ang mga verbal learners, mas nag-e-excel sila sa mga activities na may involved na pagsusulat at pakikipagtalakayan, katulad ng pakikipagdebate at pagsulat ng mga journal. Next is physical or kinesthetic learner. Whether by using their body or hands, these learners are all about the sense of touch. Physical activities and sports play a big part in these students' lives. Getting hands-on is a must for these learners who love to tinker and learn best when they can do rather than see or hear. Dito naman, yung mga learner is mas natututo sila kapag ginagawa nila ng aktwal yung isang bagay. Logical or mathematical learner. If there is logic, reasoning, and numbers involved, these learners are sure to excel. These students functions and solve complex problems by employing strategies and their scientific way of thinking. Computer programming, math, and science are usually favored by these types of learners. Social learner or interpersonal learner. Learning in groups and working with others is favored by social learners. These students know how to communicate effectively and enjoy collaborating with others, brainstorming, and discussing ideas and concepts. Yung mga social learners naman, natututo sila through other people by collaborating. Social learners are generally good listeners who are thoughtful and understanding. The last one is solitary learner or intrapersonal learners. These students prepared to use self-study and work alone. They are independent and are very self-aware and in tune with their thoughts and feelings. At ang mga learners naman na to, mas gusto nilang mag-isa. Mas nakakapag-aral kasi sila kapag sarili lang nila. Ayaw nila sa mga maiingay kasi hindi sila nakakapag-focus. Kaya ginagawa nila, pumupunta sila sa tahimik na lugar para makapag-focus at makapag-aral.
Learning preferences. Learning preferences refer to how much a learner prefers certain educational modalities over others, such as watching a video online versus in-person instruction. They differ from learning styles because they don't hinge on a learner needing all training to be visual or all kinesthetic to learn best. So, learning preferences, lahat ng learners na natuto dahil sa preference nila pero pwede rin sila matuto sa iba't ibang ways or style na nakadepende sa information na kukunin ng isang learners. Example nga dito yung watching a video online at yung iba naman sa instruction ng other person. Mahirap mag-try ng ibang way para matuto pero once naman na naunawaan ito ng learners, magiging effective naman ito para makatulong tsaka makadagdag pa ng knowledge. May mga multiple ways para matuto. Pwede sa mga books, based sa experience ng tao at yung iba naman sa online. Example ulit, merong quiz then nag-review ka pero nung nakita mo yung result ng quiz mo, meron parang mali. Dito mo gagamitin yung ibang way or style para masagot mo yung para masagot mo ng tama yung mga mali mo sa quiz mo. Doon ka na maggagawa ng paraan para mag-review in a different way. Then, learning preferences are all about how people learn. People learn in different ways and have a style or a preference to help them acquire new skills and knowledge and to remember things. Some people prefer the term preference to styles so as not to categorize a learner. And learning preference help to be knowledgeable for new style of learning because the style and preference ng isang learner will help them to gain new set of skills and knowledge.
Students with special learning needs. Learning disabled students are those who demonstrate a significant discrepancy, which is not the result of some other handicap, between academic achievement and intellectual abilities in one or more of the areas of oral expression, listening comprehension, written expression, basic reading skills, reading comprehension, mathematical calculation, mathematics reasoning, or spelling. There are some of the common indicators of learning disabled students. These traits are usually not isolated ones. Rather, they appear in varying degrees and amounts in most learning disabled students. A learning disabled student has poor auditory memory, both short-term and long-term, has a low tolerance level and high frustration level, has a weak or poor self-esteem, is easily distractible, finds it difficult, if not impossible, to stay on task for extended periods of time, is spontaneous in expression, often cannot control emotions, is easily confused, is easily verbally demanding, has some difficulty in working with others in small or large group settings, has difficulty in following complicated directions or remembering directions for extended periods of time, has coordination problems with both large and small muscle groups, has inflexibility of thought, is difficult to persuade others, has poor handwriting skills, has a poor concept of time. Students with special needs require various adjustments throughout the study process and in the study environment because they inevitably encounter obstacles which prevent or impair their full and efficient inclusion and participation in the study process. Students with special needs may obtain information through teacher tutors and student tutors within the tutelage for students with special needs about acquiring such status. The right and responsibilities of the status, the possibilities of adjustment during the study and adjustment of study material, the method of communication with professors regarding special needs, preparation for exams and arrangement of study obligation and extracurricular activities in the tutorial system. Students with special learning needs may have learning disabilities that impact the way children are able to process and understand information. They are neurological disorders that might manifest themselves as difficulty listening, thinking, writing, speaking, spelling, or doing mathematical calculations, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, visual perception disorders, auditory processing disorders, and language disorders fall under the umbrella of learning disorders. Many children with ADHD also have comorbid learning disorders. There are 5 ways to help students with special needs. The first one is to maintain an organized classroom and limit distractions. For students with special needs, maintaining a healthy balance of structured and unstructured processes is important. For example, on each student's desk, have a place for everything that is clearly labeled. Use words or colors for instance. Also, consider using checklists and help students keep their notebooks organized. Teach them how to do so on their own, but also check at the end of each day and offer suggestions for keeping it more organized. On the unstructured side of things, allow students with special needs to change their work area while completing homework or studying and assign tasks that involve moving around the room. For students with special needs and learning disabilities, hearing instructions or following directions can be made difficult if there are too many distractions. The second one is use music and voice inflection. When transitioning to an activity, use a short song to finish up one task and move to another. Many of us have sung the clean up while cleaning up before the next activity. Use a similar approach in the classroom. Students with special needs might also respond well to varied voice inflection and tone, so use a mixture of loud, soft, and whisper sounds. Using proper pronunciation and sometimes slightly exaggerating proper speech will help a child model the same principles. The third one is break down instructions into smaller manageable tasks. Students with special needs often have difficulty understanding long-winded or several instructions at once. For children with learning disabilities, it is best to use simple, concrete sentences. You might have to break down a step into a few smaller steps to ensure students with special needs understand what you are asking. You might even want to put the directions both in print and saying them verbally. Ask your students with special needs to repeat the directions and ask them to demonstrate that they understand. Do not give further instructions until a student has completed the previous task. The fourth one is use multisensory strategies. As all children learn in different ways, it is important to make every lesson as multisensory as possible. Students with learning disabilities might have difficulty in one area, while they might excel in another. For example, use both visual and auditory cues. Create opportunities for tactile experiences. You might need use physical cues such as a light touch when a student might get distracted or inattentive. Get creative with your lesson plans, and students with special needs will appreciate the opportunity to use their imaginations or try something new. Use a balance of structure and familiar lessons with original content. And the last one is give students with special needs opportunities for success. Children with learning disabilities often feel like they do not succeed in certain areas. But structuring lessons that lead to successful results is a way to keep them motivated. Provide immediate reinforcement for accomplishments. Be consistent with rules and discipline. Correct errors and reward students when they make these corrections themselves. Explain behavioral expectations and teach and demonstrate appropriate behaviors rather than just expecting students with special needs to pick them up. These 5 ways to help students with special needs are ideal for classroom settings. parents of students with special needs can also implement these principles. Helping children with learning disabilities both in and out of the classroom is the best way to help your students with special needs achieve success. Teaching learning disabled youngsters will present you with some unique and distinctive challenges. Not only will these students demand more of your time and patience, so too will they require specialized instructional strategies in a structured environment that supports and enhances their learning potential. It is important to remember that learning disabled students are not students who are incapacitated or unable to learn. Rather, they need differentiated instruction tailored to their distinctive learning abilities. Eto, dagdag ko na lang yung parang example ko na lang siya na sa mga may special learning disabilities na kasi meron akong pinsan na Down syndrome siya. Hindi naman siya yung totally na Down syndrome na talagang totally hindi nakakaintindi. Actually, kapag yung mga tinuturuan siya ng prof niya, ng gano'n, ng mama niya, nakakaintindi naman siya kapag inuutusan mo, pag may pinapakuha ka, gano'n. Pero pagdating sa mga school na, sa mga gawaing school na, ayaw niya nung kapag tinatama siya, ayaw niya, nagagalit siya sa mama niya, nakikipag-away siya sa mama niya. Pero yung pinsan ko na yun, hindi pa siya nakakapagsalita ng yung as in nakakabuo siya ng isang buong word na malinaw na malinaw. Ano na siya, nasa 10 years old na siya. Then, kapag yung naranasan ko na rin kasi siyang turuan nitong online class, mahirap kasi talaga, kailangan talaga ng may nakatutok na professor para mas magabayan yung mga students na may mga special learning needs. Katulad na lang nung pinsan ko kasi mahirap talaga kasi parang ang hirap turuan kapag yung anak mo or yung student mo wala dun sa gusto niya yung nagagawa lang niya basta nagagawa niya okay na sa kanya yun, ganon. Parang ayaw niya nang itinatama siya kasi nga gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina na may mga mabibilis mairita, ganon. Ayaw nila ng ang tawag doon, ayaw nila ng inuulit-ulit, ganon, na pinagsasabihan, ganon. Kaya kailangan talagang tutukan ng mga professor or ng parents yung anak nila na may learning disabilities or special needs. Yun lang.
Understanding diversity and learning. Diversity is everything that makes people different from each other. This includes many different factors: race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, ability, age, religious belief, or political conviction. All these factors work together to inform how students and teachers and everyone else to encounter the world. Diversity in the classroom teaches students to appreciate different perspectives and draw stronger conclusions. So, alam naman natin lahat ng diversity in learning. So, parang sinasabi dito na iba-iba lahat ng tao, iba-iba lahat ng estudyante sa loob ng classroom. Depende sa kanilang race, depende sa kanilang kasarian, kung lalaki o babae sila, ganon. Tapos, parang yung diversity in learning, para tinuturuan tayo nito na ma-appreciate at tanggapin ng bawat isa na hindi lahat ng kaya mo ay kaya rin nila. So, kailangan nating ma-appreciate yun kung saan yung strength nila at kung saan yung weaknesses nila. 7 ways to encourage a culture of diversity in your school. Include images of people that represent different ethnicities, shapes, sizes, abilities, and clothing in your handouts, activities, posters, and games. So, dito sa 1, alam naman natin na iba-iba kasi. So, para ma-appreciate nila yung lesson or yung topic, need nilang makarelate dun sa pinag-uusapan. Kaya nga, sinasabi dito, maglalagay ka ng mga pictures for them to appreciate na parang tanggap sila, ganun, parang belong sila, ganun. Invite guest speakers into your classroom. Mahalaga rin to kasi dito parang lalo na yung mga motivational speaker pala. Kasi parang dito nahihikayat sila, na-encourage sila na ay, okay lang pala, ayos lang pala yung ganito, pagbubutihin ko palalo. Kung saan ako mahina, dun ko ipofocus yung sarili ko para maging strength ko yun. Parang magiging ganun yung mindset nila, parang lalakasan lang sila ng loob. Include classroom signs in multiple languages. Dito naman, syempre, halimbawa, sa classroom, pure Tagalog yung iba, tapos may ibang Bisaya, may ibang nag-i-English, para maintindihan nila. Kailangan parang universal kayo dun sa classroom nyo, yung lahat makaka-relate, yung makaka-adjust yung iba, para lahat maintindihan. Create global pen pal friendships. Dito naman, kasi 'di ba may diversity, magkaiba. So, parang para maiwasan yung barrier sa classroom, parang gagawa ka ng way para mapaglapit sila sa isa't isa. For example, groupings, ganun, magka-group sila. Take field trips to cultural events in your community. So dito naman para maging relate sila about sa community, about sa pinag-uusapan. Magpa field trip for them to understand kung ano yung pamumuhay na meron sa isang komunidad. Encourage students to talk about the problems they see in their school and in the media. So dito, need din to para tumaas din yung confidence nila. Parang hihingan mo rin sila ng opinion, parang ibebelong mo rin sila sa klase mo. Pagtatanong ka about sa nangyayari sa kanila, about sa mga nakikita nila, kung anong may violent reaction ba sila sa school, sa patakaran, para alam mo kung ano yung i-adjust mo for them to learn efficiently. Always keep learning. So eto, lagi lang magbukas ng pinto para maraming matutunan. Hayaan mo lumabas ka sa comfort zone mo para mas maraming learnings, mas maganda yun. At may iwasan yung diversity in learning nun kasi ikaw na rin mismo yung nag-volunteer na matuto eh. Using diversity as resource for learning and learning in classroom. Using diversity as a resource for teaching means that teachers should involve the curiosity and knowledge of all students in the classroom. Teachers do not need a specialized curriculum to meet the needs of all students. Instead, they continually ask students to share from their lives and backgrounds. Teachers should support each student in high-level learning with high expectation and academic rigor. So ito nga, para maiwasan yung diversity sa isang classroom, yun din yung gagamitin mo. Yun din yung gagamitin mong solution para maiwasan yung diversity. Halimbawa, yung sinabi ko kanina, na groupings. 'Di ba? Doon pa lang eh. Halimbawa na magkaibang lahi yung dalawang estudyante. Bisaya yung isa, tapos nagpa-pure Tagalog yung isa. So doon, pag groupings, magka-group sila. Parang mabibigyan mo silang ng opportunity na magkalapit, na magkausap kung paano yung gagawin nila, kung paano nila may execute yung isang task. Ganun. And dapat lagi mo silang i-remind na tanggap sila sa classroom and dapat willing sila mag-grow and willing silang matuto pa about sa mga hindi pa nila nalalaman para maiwasan yung diversity and makipag-usap lang, magtanong lang kung curious, kung hindi nila magets, ganun, para maiwasan din yung barrier sa learning.